And we are going to DEFCON Red in 3, 2, 1. What the fuck?
Do you have any scientific evidence that those scratches occurred on January 29th at approximately 12:45 a.m.?
What do you mean by scientific evidence?
Well, you said there's no evidence that he rolled.
And there's no evidence that he flew through the air either.
Exactly. Right? Exactly.
Objection.
Sustained.
Oh, he asked a question. He said exactly right.
That was beautiful.
That's not what I asked.
I know. I'm just saying. You asked me. You said what I'm just responding to what you said, and trying to make sure you understand what I'm saying.
No, I don't. But I'll ask another question. Shoes are strapped on by definition, right? So every time somebody slows down, going in reverse or forward, and introduces a 10-degree input on the steering wheel, doesn't mean they're looking to hit a pedestrian, correct?
Correct.
You testified that you determined the area of impact.
So when I looked at it, it didn't quite fit the pedestrian thing. So when you showed me the video,
It didn't quite fit the pedestrian thing, is his expert testimony. Sir?
I don't know. I wasn't there, so I don't know how the glass
I don't know. I wasn't
stayed with
there.
his body and went with him to the
I
fire
wasn't
rest.
there.
I mean,
You're not a witness. You're a reconstruction expert. Your entire job is predicated on you not being
It's
there.
possible.
The pedestrian thing? So they told you it was a motor vehicle versus pedestrian, and then you were now looking for explanations of what would fit or not fit the pedestrian thing. I'm so glad these questions came after the confirmation bias questions.
would you need to apply the theory of conservation of momentum in calculating these data?
Do I need to calculate the conservation of momentum?
Or calculation,
No.
of conservation of momentum?
Yes.
You know what that is? There's an equation for that as well, right?
Do you know what
Yes.
that is?
You know what that is?
Not off the top of my head, but yes.
Oh.
E equals MC squared.
24 miles an hour and 62 feet. That gives you some numbers to start with. And if you're an expert, you can work this stuff, right? You should be able to reconstruct this. She started here. She ended here. His body flew this far. The pieces shattered and they flew this far. And that makes sense because when it shatters, they go in this direction. I'm making it up. But this is what experts do. They take measurements. They explain the force in which her SUV, it's 7,000 pounds or whatever. So a 7,000 pound vehicle driving 24 miles an hour could easily do this amount of damage. The force calculation equals this, something that sounds really smart.
What's your theory on how that cell phone ended up flying 30 feet with it?
It just did.
It just
Just
did.
did. And somehow, as he landed, tucked that cell phone underneath his body so he landed on top of it.
I was watching his career go up in
the evidence at the
flames.
scene. I didn't put the evidence there. So
Well,
I didn't put the evidence there.
All right, so jurors, I've told
Who
you
did
before,
put the
lawyers
evidence there?
cannot make comments, so disregard it. Mr. Jackson,
Who
don't do
did
it
put
again.
the evidence there, Mr. Paul?
So-
You understand, but don't do it. Your answer is always, I understand. Don't do it.
The less defensive this trooper is with Jackson, the worse he makes things for himself. Because the more he talks, the worse it gets. It didn't fit the pedestrian thing.
Oh my God, you cannot make this up.
define kinematics for the jurors.
it deals with the aspect of motion.
It's
Good.
a subfield of what broader field?
Kinematics.
Is a subfield of what
Kinematics is
broader
a
field?
Subfield of what broader discipline of science?
Wouldn't that be physics?
I'm not sure.
which would be physics
Physics.
for 100.
Total momentum before the collision, is it greater or less than the total momentum after the collision? Basic question.
What type of collision?
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
Trooper Paul, they're exactly equal in all respects under the principles of physics, right? That's the theory of the conservation of momentum. Momentum doesn't change. What's that called? The rate of velocity. What's another word for that?
The rate of velocity?
Correct.
I mean, it deals with the motion. It deals with forward, and also deals with speed. It deals with travel and speed. If something's moving, it also has a speed to it.
Right. The word you're looking for is acceleration, correct?
Sure.
Sure.
What role does acceleration play in the field of kinematics?
So even having the definition provided to you, you can't be like, oh yeah, that's the definition. You're just like, well, if you say so. Who's the expert in the room now?
Isn't it true, Trooper Paul, that there is a singular calculation for determining initial momentum? That is P equals M times V, where P is the momentum. You're solving for that. M is mass. You multiply that by velocity. Is that right? Pretty simple.
You wouldn't use that in a pedestrian collision.
Oh, because the pedestrian's somehow magically out of the realm of physics?
Objection.
Sustained.
Is a pedestrian out of the realm of physics and calculations?
No, it's the weight differential between the pedestrian and the vehicle.
You should be able to figure this stuff out. How much does the glass weigh? What do you expect it to fly? What about a shoe? Like, you should be able to calculate those numbers and at least give a range of what you would expect to happen. Just because it was a side swipe, like, so then you just can't do anything? That's basically what he said? I mean, it's wild. Sorry, I keep interrupting him. Let's get what his actual opinion is, because it's not any of that.
Could you use displacement using kinematic equations?
So like I said before, the side swipe, he would not have gotten 100% of the vehicle, 100% of the speed of the striking vehicle. It would have vastly underestimated.
Side swipe one more
You
time.
couldn't hit a person and side swipe them, spin them off to the side, and have that and get that speed from that calculation.
Doing
So you're
speed of
saying
light to
that-
launch a guy off a sideswipe 30, 50 feet
The discipline
across
of
the
physics.
fucking road?
Cannot figure out how far
Yes.
John O'Keefe's body would move. But you personally,
Projected, I mean, like I don't say he flew all the way there. He was projected in that way. He got pushed forward in that
30
direction.
feet. 30 feet. 30 feet. 30 feet. He's got no lower body injuries where the bumper would have hit his body. No hip injuries, no torso injuries, no bruising, no leg injuries, no knee, no ankle, no injuries.
are you saying that the principles of physics are incapable of determining with the proper calculations how far John O'Keefe's body would have moved given the collision at issue?
Objection.
Is that what you're saying, Trooper?
No.
Okay, next question.
You just said because it was a side swipe, all these calculations, these physics calculations are inapplicable, right?
But I'm saying it would underestimate the speed and the distance. The calculations would vastly underestimate the speed of the vehicle.
You testified
The calculations would vastly underestimate the speed of the vehicle. Wouldn't the speed of the vehicle be one of the factors of the calculations? If you didn't do the calculation, then how do you know what it vastly underestimates? Did you do the calculations and they disagreed with your opinion? Is that the problem here? Because I have questions.
if I may approach her just for
Okay.
He's not even listening to the questions. When Jackson's like, that means you're hitting a pedestrian every time you reverse and turn 10 degrees, he's like, yes. No. No, it does not mean
may I
that.
approach?
Yes.
The taillight cracks, and as it passes by, his arm stays with it long enough to get striations, those scratches that you see, those lacerations. I'm sorry, those abrasions that you see, right?
In a sense, yes.
In a
Same
sense,
time,
yes.
He does a pirouette and flies 30 feet to his final point rest.
I don't know if he did a pirouette.
Well,
You said he
I just
did.
do it. He spun around.
You said he just
He
spun
started
counterclockwise.
rotating counterclockwise. Which cup we're talking about?
Wow.
How many cups have we been talking about, Trooper?
How many
You
cups?
said
about the
that
same?
cup. One at the, from the scene. Okay.
That cup. I'm talking.
I just want to make sure that we're on the clear path here.
The
On
clear path?
What we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, we are as far from clear as you can get. This is like a black, muddy river, to quote a Grateful Dead song. This is the furthest thing from clear. What other glass cup are we talking about in this case? Dude, you cannot be serious right now. The world is watching. The world has third-hand embarrassment for you.
Start guessing about what the experts that the defense did not hire, but that the feds hired. Start guessing about what their credentials look like. Just start guessing now. Just start guessing now.
And you thought today was going to be boring.